You know, I look at the city and I see through the veil of the illusion that it is. It's a byproduct of colonialism, of colonization, of it's the plight of the Western man. The Western man archetypically that came to America and stole the land from the indigenous people. It's a really, really intense time to be alive on this planet right now. So if you're tapping into this frequency, you know, we're just out here doing the best that we can to attune our consciousness to a higher vibrational frequency and amplify and give more light and more love into this planet that so desperately needs it right now. And you know, right now we're being called forward as conscious beings, as light workers on this planet, as people who are listening to the feeling of our collective soul, that together it's time that we start to really open up and talk about these conversations and bring them into the forefront. Because if we're just going to listen to what's being broadcasted by this dark agenda, then we're going to ultimately get lost and we're going to be manipulated by it, because the information that is coming at us from this agenda is not in our highest good, right? And it's like, what it feels to me is that we've been duped for a really long time with this transhumanistic agenda and this technological sort of oligarchy that we've found ourselves in. You know, like for me, I'm out here right now in Austin, Texas. I just felt called to come to Austin, Texas for some reason. I left Hawaii to come out here, which I don't really know why I did that, but that was the decision that I made, and that is where I'm currently streaming my consciousness from, is Austin, Texas. And I think maybe one of the reasons why I felt called to come here was because this city is the representation of the overlay and crux and juxtaposition of which we are currently finding ourselves in this current reality. Behind me, you might not be able to see it, but you might be able to. There is the downtown orientation right here, and we're directly south of the city center. And so the city center of Austin is where, you know, everything is percolating around. And when I go around this city, I pick up a lot of information, because that's what I do. You know, I'm a gatherer of information that doesn't always make sense linearly, and I'm learning how to accept that and honor that in myself. And so, you know, I've really been on my spiritual journey for quite a while now, and I'm still learning what my superpowers and gifts are. You know, I've done plant medicine and ayahuasca a number of times, and I've really devoted myself to the spiritual path. So this city is a juxtaposition of where we are in reality right now, because Austin used to just be very rooted in Texan roots, right? It was a place where people could just be anything, where they could express their creativity, where they were living more with essentially different values. And maybe you could say they were more rooted, right? More grounded in their consciousness. But now what we can see is we see a growing city that is worshiping tech, that is infiltrated by big tech, by technology. And you can see this overlay between the artificial consciousness of the smart cities, of the technological fantasy and fascination and obsession, overlaying with the grounded consciousness of that which is like truly Texan, which, you know, could be like aspects of freedom and sovereignty and like just being able to live your life how you want to live it, right? And we're in this overlay and this juxtaposition out here in Austin where, you know, you have immense capitalistic growth in the form of financial opportunities, big tech and money and people moving here from California and all these different places, bringing their money with them and causing gentrification, causing a rift in, you know, I see a lot of people that maybe have lived in Austin for a long time that hold a lot of organic consciousness in their being. You know, they're out here wanting to just live and enjoy life, and then you have all the people that are freaking wrapped up in the whole tech thing, which is like, you know, the technology piece is a fractal of the transhumanistic agenda, right? It is super deep, and I've really gathered a lot of information on this technological distortion that we're moving through, because essentially, to me, it's a byproduct of colonialism, of colonization, of it's the plight of the Western man. The Western man archetypically that came to America and stole the land from the indigenous people, that raped and pillaged and massacred. The Western man that doesn't know who the fuck he is because he has no culture. So he's basically free balling out here. And because he has no culture, he has no tie to the earth. And without any tie and connection to the earth, you just fractal into patriarchy. You fractal into patriarchy because you don't have connection to the divine feminine, which is a direct tether to the organic earth, to the mother earth, to worshiping in devotion to our divine feminine aspect of life itself. And so when we don't have that connection in our consciousness, we essentially just fractal out into patriarchy, and then we start to rape and pillage and extort for the sake of progression, but it's really just greed. It's really just power and extortion. It's manipulation of the world in a way that basically siphons resources from the earth into someone else's pocket, and then you call that capitalism, but you're essentially just extorting. You're extorting and draining that which is giving you life itself. It's like completely fucking bonkers, you know? And that is manifested and represented in the fact that, you know, they want to build AI data centers out here in the US. It's probably why Trump wants to take over Greenland, because they have so much water and ice. So it's like you can build all these data centers. So you're basically siphoning, you know, water, which has already like been so distorted, that's been so damaged, right? Our collective waters are hurting because we are essentially stripping and raping the natural world. We're raping our waters, we're raping the earth, you know, and you're seeing that in how we're treating one another as well, because we're all living in the overlay of this distorted consciousness. And because in a city, you kind of have to survive in the concrete jungle. So it's like you need to kind of fit in with the rules of the matrix that you're in. So you start to have to compartmentalize your consciousness and start to adhere to these artificial social constructs and frequencies that are not real. They're distorted, they're warped. And ultimately you do that because you chase the money to try to survive in this crazy modern concrete jungle that we're living in, that is the manifestation of Babylon. And so you fractal yourself and distort yourself into all these different artificial versions, because you end up playing a game of like, oh, what different hat or mask can I wear today in this city, in this place? And you know, it's taking us all away from our authenticity. So that is the fractal and the division and the crux, the juxtaposition and the paradox that we're going through on a soul level in our soul right now, is like the things that are artificial are fractaling us into that which is transhumanistic, that which is synthetic, that which is inorganic, that ultimately leads towards the complete dystopic destruction of humanity itself, because as soon as we choose consensually to adopt to the demonic agenda that wants us to put neural links in our brain and turn us into artificial human beings, we are going through a quantum leap. We're choosing to take a quantum leap that will completely dissolve that which is organic, that which is natural, that which is true in our consciousness, that which is true in our humanity, that which we've evolved from for thousands and thousands of years, that which we truly are, which we are carbon-based beings. We are carbon-based beings that are made in nature. We are nature. And so it's very simple when we break it down this way, because it's like everything that is artificial is ultimately harming to the human spirit and the human body, right? The way that you heal holistically is you stop taking synthetic pharmaceutical drugs, you stop consuming that which is inorganic, that which is synthetic and artificial, all the fake food, all the poisons and toxins and chemicals in our water, in our earth, in our air, all that comes from cities, all that comes from urban artificial environments. You have to let all of that go, and you have to return to that which is natural, that which is free, that which is in the harmonic resonance of the earth itself. Simply just getting out of the city and putting yourself in a forest, you know, in nature, where there's sunlight, where there's clean air and soil, and just breathing that into your body will simply, you know, accelerate your healing process just by simply doing that, right? And so this is all it's all very clear, it's all very simple. I know I'm articulating it in a way that is complex because it does fractal in many different ways, and the way I think and articulate myself is not always linear, but if it lands for you, then it's landing, right? And so it's just really intense. It's really intense for me to be out here, honestly. You know, that's not really the point of the video, but it is because, you know, I look at the city and I see through the veil of the illusion that it is, and I just know that the fabric of our society is very thin right now. You know, the structures that hold together things is kind of falling apart. And, you know, I'm out here and it's really intense because I do have a baseline of my consciousness that feels and is very organic. You know, like that's my whole thing, my whole shtick. And I feel a lot safer in being connected to the natural world, because I know that a lot of the fabric of the artificial society of modernity and Babylon is not real. And at any point, the thing could just freaking collapse. And then it's like, and then what are you gonna do, you know? It's like you can't eat money. You can't eat money when society collapses. You can only eat food. So we go through this entire rat race in order to get the money, in order to buy the things that are inherently given to us by God, because you just put a seed in the ground and you just honor and worship the land. You know, there's a phrase in Hawaiian that says, instead of looking up with your hands up, asking for something that you need, turn your hands down and love the earth and put your love into the earth, because the earth is what's going to give back to you that which you need, right? The earth will provide for us if we love and provide for it. And so the fractal of transhumanism and authenticity, this concept of authenticity, being authentic with ourselves, truly being authentic with ourselves, that is the expansion of our consciousness. That is our homecoming. That is the spiritual awakening in ourself, is coming back into what is authentic, what is real, what is true, what is organic. And so we find ourselves in this crux, in this paradox of like, we don't know which timeline we're going to choose. And it just seems to me that what's most important right now is that I just share myself authentically with you, right? We're being called right now. I'm feeling this call to really put myself out there authentically. I've been wanting to create authentic content for a really long time, and I've been just kind of in my head about it. But today, in this moment, I just want to share where I'm at with you, because, you know, if you're watching this video and tuning into this frequency, then you too are feeling to some degree what I'm feeling, because we're all feeling it. We're all feeling it right now. And so, you know, as I come here and sort of land in this new chapter of my life in Austin, it's intense, because I know that I know that what's really important right now is not chasing money, and it's not chasing success. What's important right now is finding community. It's finding connection to land, wherever that land is. The more rural, the better. The more sustainable, the better. You know, we need to find ourselves with the people that we truly love and care about, and people that we are going to move through all of these collective changes with together. And I don't think it's necessarily 100% just going one direction or the other. I don't think it's like, you know, you just have to be like completely off grid, like Amish farming and complete sustainability and regeneration. But like, yo, think about it. Like, that needs to be at least, you know, for me, I'm out here and my thoughts are like, okay, if I'm not gonna be like directly farming and connecting with the land, like I need to at least be having good relationships with people that are, because, you know, otherwise you're just completely reliant on these artificial systems and structures. And in times of chaos, which we're starting to see right now with the ICE riots, with everything that's happening on the global agendas, where they're creating a lot of chaos, and they're creating instability for whatever the reason is. I think the conspiracy is that they want to create digital IDs, they want to create smart cities, they want to basically have us consent to giving away all of our power and sovereignty to these demonic global new world order superpowers, so that we don't have any autonomy and freedom of ourselves. They control everything. They surveil everything. We live in 1984. And that's apparently clear in the signal that they're transmitting of what they want to do and where they want to move this energy. And the only way that they can really do that is if we consent to allowing them to. We, as conscious sovereign beings, need to give up our authority to their agenda, and they're going to do their best to manipulate us into consensually giving up our sovereignty for the transhumanistic agenda. As soon as we get to the point where they start microchipping people with neural links in their brain, and we start merging with the machine, they will have full control over humanity, at least for those who consent to it. And so, you know, a lot of souls and human beings will choose that, not because they really want that, but because they simply don't have a reference point of an alternative, because they've given away their power so much to the manipulative system, that which is artificial, urban, and city-like, that they've completely lost their organic soul and their organic consciousness in the process. And so it is up to us as people who are vibrating and listening to the organic frequency of the earth to bring forth this consciousness into the awareness of those people. We need to spread this message here that we're articulating in this moment. We need to share authentically from this place, because the more that we choose the authentic frequency, the more that we move back towards that which is true and away from that which is artificial, synthetic, and transhumanistic. So if you're tapping into this frequency that I'm laying down right now, smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. My name is Thor Hoku Dyrensborg. This is the Thorganic experience.